Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into a book that's going to mess with your head in the best way possible. Nassim Nicholas Taleb's Fooled by Randomness. Seriously, this one might just change how you think about, well, everything.
So the whole book really boils down to one central, kind of uncomfortable question that it forces every single one of us to ask.
I mean, think about it. We look at these superstar investors, these visionary CEOs, and we just assume they're geniuses, right? That their success is all about skill. But what if we're missing a huge piece of the puzzle? What if it's something else entirely?
To help us wrap our heads around this, Taleb gives us this amazing character type that we've all met. He calls them the lucky fool. You know this person. They're the one who wins big and then immediately starts explaining their brilliant system, completely convinced their random good fortune was a sign of their own genius. And to make this idea really stick, Taleb tells a story through two neighbors, a couple of traders who have completely opposite views on how the world works.
So, on one side, you have Taleb. He's this cultured, skeptical guy who prefers a quiet life. He's not trying to get rich quick, he's trying to not get wiped out. And then you have his neighbor, John. He's your classic Wall Street hotshot, super confident, super flashy, lives in a giant mansion, and is making an absolute killing.
Nero's whole philosophy is key here. He's not trying to win every time. In fact, he's okay with taking small, manageable losses. Why? Because his entire game is about avoiding the blow-up, that one single catastrophic event that can just erase years of hard work in an instant.
And John? Oh, he thinks this is just ridiculous. He looks at his own amazing track record, all those winning years, and he writes off guys like Nero as dinosaurs. You know, they're old news, they just don't get it. They're leaving easy money on the table.
For a long time, it really looks like John is right. He seems like a genius. But what no one sees is that he's sitting on a ticking time bomb. So the question is, why does our world make so many Johns? And why are we so quick to admire that? Well, it comes down to a really powerful trick our minds play on us. See, in any game that involves a lot of risk, the failures, they just disappear. They go broke, they switch careers, they fall off the map. All we're left with are the winners. And we stand there staring at them thinking, wow, they must be brilliant. Taleb calls this survivorship bias. It's this deep-seated tendency we have to mistake luck for skill, to see a pattern in random noise. It's why we always hear the story of the one college dropout who becomes a billionaire, but we never ever hear from the thousands upon thousands who tried the same thing and failed. The graveyard of broken dreams is completely silent. He uses this incredibly stark analogy to drive the point home. Russian roulette. Imagine thousands of people play. We don't go interview the dead guys, right? No, we find the one survivor who walks away with the cash, and we put them on TV to talk about their bold strategy and nerves of steel. We're celebrating a lucky survivor and calling them a genius. And that, right there, is the exact game John was playing. His strategy looked fantastic on the surface. It brought in steady, impressive profits for years. But lurking just beneath it all was this tiny, hidden chance of absolute, total annihilation. For almost a decade, the universe seemed to bend John's way. He looked smarter, he got richer, he was the picture of success. And then, the music stopped. Year after year, he just kept winning. The bonuses got bigger, the house got bigger, and his confidence, it went through the roof. To everyone looking in from the outside, his neighbors, his partners, the entire market, he wasn't just lucky. No way. He was a master of the universe. He'd figured it all out. All of a sudden, a market crisis hits, the kind of thing all the models said couldn't happen. It started as a small tremor, and then, boom, a financial earthquake. This was it. This was the rare, unpredictable event with massive consequences that Taleb would later make famous as the Black Swan. It was the exact kind of thing Nero built his entire life around surviving, and the exact kind of thing John's perfect track record had taught him to ignore. And just like that, it was all gone. In a matter of days, John's entire fortune, his stellar reputation, his whole career, completely wiped out. Poof! He wasn't a genius. He was a lucky fool who had finally, inevitably, run out of luck. Now, this story of Nero and John, it's so much more than a story about trading. It's really a lesson for all of us about how we should think about success and risk in every single part of our lives. So what are we supposed to do with all this? Well, a few things. First, don't judge a strategy by how well it does. Judge it by how it survives its worst day. That beautiful, smooth track record can hide a fatal flaw. Second, always be skeptical of success stories. Remember the silent evidence, all the failures you don't get to see. And maybe most important of all, it's not about how often you're right. It's about how much you lose when you're wrong.
And that really just leaves us with one final and kind of tough question to ask ourselves. In our own lives, in our careers, our investments, the people we look up to, where might we be getting it wrong? Where are we mistaking pure dumb luck for repeatable skill? It's a really uncomfortable thing to think about, but it's the first and most important step to not being fooled.